Hi there guys, this is Fox. Yep, this is me, my real voice. Probably not going to be singing this time. Just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who subscribed to me. Thank you so much. I've already reached 100 subscribers. Only been here a few months and I truly appreciate all your comments, all the support, all the wonderful information you've given me about my singing, and I hope to improve in the future. But as a special thank you for 100 subscribers, I wanted to do something a little different, starting a series of readings. And since it's so close to Nightmare Night, I thought I'd start off my series of readings by picking up a story that's called The Nightmare After Nightmare Night. It's a really awesome story, so I've heard, and so I hope to be experiencing the reading with you guys and give my voice acting a try here and there. So bear with me. Give me any constructive comments you have about my reading, about music that you want in the background. Thank you again so much and enjoy the story. And even if my Star Swirl the Bearded costume didn't go over, this still turned out to be the best Nightmare Night ever. Twilight Sparkle smiled proudly, and then turned at the sound of an electrical crack and a hoarse shriek from above and behind her. The bells on her arcane robes jingled softly. Rainbow Dash was streaking away through the sky, followed by a rainbow contrail and smoke from her lightning-struck rump. A moment later, Princess Luna hovered down on a dark storm cloud, wearing a mischievous smile. She winked. The two ponies and Spike broke into a fit of giggles. "We thank thee for thy sage advice, Twilight Sparkle," said Luna, when she had gotten her laughter under control. "It has pleased us greatly to meet thee and thy 5 friends under more positive circumstances." The princess paused, her brow furrowing. "But hold, the straw pony, the fowl, the trickster, and gentle Fluttershy." Luna frowned. "Where is the last of thy companions?" "Oh, you mean Rarity?" Twilight Sparkle put a pensive hoof on her beard-clad chin. "Now that you mention it, I haven't seen her all night." A look of worry passed over Luna's features. "Perhaps our earlier displays frightened her into hiding?" "No way," said Spike adamantly. "Rarity would never pass up a night when every pony shows off their costumes just because of the return of Nightmare Moon." Twilight shot Spike a withering glance. He chuckled nervously. I mean Princess Luna. She's way too professional for that." He sighed adoringly. "And also talented, beautiful, graceful." Spike tugged at the collar of his dragon costume, letting out a small whistle of steam. Luna raised an eyebrow at the baby dragon before turning back to face Twilight. "Well, if she intended to be present at tonight's festivities, some unwelcome vicissitudes may have befallen her. We should pursue this debacle forthwith." "I concur," agreed Twilight firmly. "What?" Spike scratched the side of his head with a claw. "We're going to go and find Rarity to make sure she's okay," replied Twilight. "Oh, gotcha." Rarity cautiously crept down the winding dirt path into the everfree forest, following the urgings of her glowing horn. She wore a few jeweled accessories, but she'd left the bulk of her oh-so-very nearly complete costume back at the boutique. "Oh, of all the nights to run out of black opals," she muttered under her breath. "Come on, Magic. Mummy needs a new pair of gem-studded shoes." All at once, the glow around Rarity's horn intensified. She almost stumbled as her gem-detecting spell pulled her forward with renewed force. "Wahahaha!" she cried out in surprise as the spell propelled her through a barrier of thorny vines, over a puddle and down a low hill. She groaned dizzily and spat out a few leaves and twigs. She had come to rest on her belly, with her front hoofs pressed up against a wide, flat rock. No, not a rock. Rarity gasped. Sitting before her, half buried in the soft earth, was an absolutely massive opal. The round, flat gem was easily as wide as she was tall. It was a deep midnight blue, marked with a flashy streak of golden yellow. "Oh my goodness!" she exclaimed. "Pack your bags, you magnificent mineral marvel! You're coming home with me!" Rarity stood up, fixed her stance, and ignited her horn. The pale blue glow of her magic spread to the opal, but instead of lifting it into the air, the stone simply began to hum. The vibration grew until Rarity could feel it through her hooves. "Come on," she grunted through the clenched teeth. "Up you get!" Sweat beaded on her forehead. Rarity poured more magic into the stone, but it still wouldn't budge. However, the brighter light illuminated the ring of trees surrounding the opal. Rarity stopped trying to lift the gem and stared. Each tree had been fitted with a different strangely shaped door. One looked like a fish with the upper body of some sort of hairless ape. Another was shaped like a clownish rabbit's smiling face. Another displayed a giant insect with a red bullseye painted over it. There were dozens of trees and dozens of doors, all facing the blue and yellow stone. "What is this?" Rarity whispered under her breath. No sooner had she spoken than she heard a soft creak behind her. She turned and saw that a door shaped like a pumpkin with an evil, smiling face was now ajar. The sliver of shadowy abyss visible behind the orange-stained wood suggested far greater depth than the tree could accommodate. Rarity backed away from the open door, suddenly filled with an eerie chill. A rear hoof touched the opal's smooth surface. Rarity bit her lower lip. Was she really willing to part with a gem the size of a dining table just because of a little creepy feeling? In answer to the unspoken question, she turned to face the opal and reignited her horn. As she resumed pouring magic into the massive gem, a chill wind escaped from the pumpkin door, bringing with it a few dead leaves and the scents of damp earth, wood smoke, and a sugary spice. Rarity pointedly ignored it. A few moments and a great deal of magic later, the wind had grown strong enough to whistle between the trees and stir the white unicorn's coiling purple locks. Rarity continued to focus on the task at hand. With mere seconds left before the huge stone would pull free, or so she was fairly certain, Rarity felt her hooves leave the ground as the wind swirled fiercely around her and lifted her upward. She yelped in fright and galloped in midair. "Eek! All right, I get it," she pleaded. "You can keep the opal. Just put me down." Before Rarity could finish her entreaty, the wind sucked back into the now wide-open door and hurled her down into the darkness inside. Her cry echoed hollowly as she fell. A final inward gust pulled the pumpkin door shut with a soft click, leaving the woods dim, still, and silent. The full moon hung in the bleak black sky, while the back of a vast skull caressed by spidery fingers of an ominous gray cloud. A chill wind played across the fields of sickly, monochromatic grass, whistled between the rusty bars of black iron gates and fences, and stirred up bone dust from the yawning mouths of open graves. In the distance, a lone werewolf howled. In other words, it was quite nice out. Jack Skellington strode down the packed earth path leading out of Halloween Town with his bony hands clasped behind his back and a pensive expression on his skull. As the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town, the burden of leading the planning of each year's Halloween festivities fell squarely on Jack's shoulder bones. A great many good things had come into his life of late, not the least of which the love of a certain caring and pretty rag doll and the demise of a particularly noxious and unpleasant foe. And Jack felt like expressing his resurgent jour d'amour with a phantasmorical extravaganza for Halloween this coming year. And so he walked, taking in the delightfully creepy atmosphere of Halloween Town by night and waiting for inspiration to strike. He walked for a long time, mulling over decorations, tricks, treats, and costumes, too lost in thoughts to even sing about it. When he finally took stock of his surroundings, he realized two things. It was nearly morning, and he had no idea where he was. He had wandered into the hinterlands once again, and into an old-growth wood not unlike the one he had held the mysterious trees bearing the doorways leading into the other holiday towns. But he had deliberately walked out of town in the opposite direction from the strange place this time. He walked, searching for a landmark or a sign of something familiar. Soon enough, he did indeed come across a landmark, and a familiar-seeming one at that. But it was also new. A ring of mighty trees towered around an ancient pale gray stone disc sunk into the rich dark soil, their roots reaching toward it like spokes around the hub of a giant wheel. Each tree bore a stylized door, but Jack didn't recognize their shapes. He approached, seized by the same curiosity had once led him to visit Christmastown. "I could take a quick look," he mused. "No holiday misappropriation this time, of course. I've learned my lesson. But surely a sneak peek through just one door couldn't hurt." One door was a sharp-angled, crested face in red. It seemed stern, yet just, but also somehow mechanical. I've had my fill of toys for now. Jack moved on. Another was a giant, rounded paw print, as though a vast puppy had playfully pounded an ink-covered paw into the tree. Intriguing, but Jack shrugged and kept browsing. Yet another was a red and white striped shield, set with an off-center silver star and covered by crossed assault rifles. Jack shuddered at the memory of anti-aircraft fire blasting his reindeer skeleton-drawn sleigh. Definitely not. Something colorful caught Jack's attention out of the corner of his eye socket. He turned around and gasped. The tree was more vivid and lively than its fellows. The few leaves it bore were even still green, and on its door was a thin, bright pink arch, not unlike the Omega often carved into headstones. A festively colored memento mori? Perfect! Jack grinned and moved to reach for the door's knob, but as he did so, the door snapped open by itself and disgorged a shrieking blur of purple and white. Jack managed to say, "Whoa," before he took the full brunt of the impact squarely in his ribcage. Rarity stirred into consciousness and dazedly got to her hooves. A quick glance suggested that she was probably still in the Everfree forest. The ominous trees, foreboding gray skies, and bone-strewn soil told her that much. But she didn't recognize a single landmark. Even worse, the sun was in the sky, which meant that she missed the entire nightmare night. And worst of all, some pony had abandoned a perfectly fine tuxedo on the filthy forest floor. Well, even if I miss the festival, the least I can do is stop any pony else from committing a crime against fashion. She sighed in dismay and magicked up the pinstriped black tailcoat and trousers. She dusted off the formal wear and slung it over her back for safekeeping. Now where in Celestia's name am I? While Rarity pondered the question, the bleached bones on the ground began to twitch, then shift, then slowly rolled toward her. I don't see Canterlot anywhere in the distance, she mused. Maybe I'm on the far side of the forest. Still lost in thought, Rarity failed to notice the bones silently converging behind her and slithering up into the empty clothing. It wasn't until an elongated, black-clad arm reached past her head and picked up a smooth, round skull from the ground in front of her that Rarity came to the paralyzing realization that she was not alone in the clearing. A tall, spidery, skeletal creature in funerary finery was now crouching over and behind her like a bone gargoyle. "Hello," said the skeleton as he popped the skull back into place on top of his neck bones. "I'm Jack Skellington, Pumpkin King of Halloween Town. And you are?" Rarity slowly turned and backed away for a few paces with an even and dignified gait. Then she firmly planted her hooves, filled her lungs as deeply as she could, and unleashed a piercing scream loud enough to scare the crows out of the trees. "Wait," she said after several seconds, cutting off the tail end of her shriek. "Did you say king?" Alrighty, well that's all the spooky action that you're going to be getting this evening. Hope you enjoyed. Please let me know if you'd like me to continue or if you have a different story in mind you'd like me to do. And thank you again so much for the 100 subscribers. I hope to keep you guys entertained with reading, music, and whatever else comes out of this. Hope you have a spooky nightmare night.